Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time.
Today, we're using Shakespeare's Othello to pull apart a system that's both ancient and, frankly, devastatingly effective: the weaponization of stories to completely destroy trust from the inside out.
So to really get what's going on in Othello, we have to kind of shift our perspective on what the play is actually about.
Look, most of us were taught that Othello is the ultimate tragedy of jealousy. But that's just the symptom, right? That's not the cause. At its absolute core, this story is a masterclass in what we can call narrative warfare. It's a systematic attack on reality itself.
So what exactly is narrative warfare? It's not about telling big, obvious lies. Oh no, it's so much more clever than that. It's the art of using whispers, insinuation, and just the right amount of ambiguity to turn someone's own insecurities against them. It basically gets the target to tear down their own life for you.
And this, right here, is the perfect example of how it works. This is the attacker's entry point. Othello might be this celebrated general, but let's not forget, he's an outsider in Venetian society. Iago doesn't have to invent some new flaw. He just has to poke at the one Othello already secretly fears is true, that deep down, he doesn't really belong. That feeling of otherness becomes the perfect fertile ground for doubt to take root.
Okay, so how does this attack actually unfold? The process Iago uses it's chillingly methodical. You could almost lay it out like an algorithm for how to break a person's mind.
And this is the absolute key to the whole thing. The moment a person's deepest insecurity gets triggered, their brain starts scrambling, desperately looking for anything that confirms its worst fears. Iago gets this. He doesn't give Othello evidence, he gives him a story. And Othello's own panicked mind does the rest of the work, turning every little shadow, every innocent conversation into rock-solid proof.
You can literally map out the collapse. First, Iago uses prejudice. He plays on the existing biases in society, which makes Othello more likely to believe Desdemona might want someone, well, more like her. Then comes ambiguity. A little phrase like, "I'd rather not say," is so much more powerful than a direct accusation because it forces Othello to fill in the blanks with his own worst fears. Then you've got isolation. Iago makes sure to cut Othello off from anyone who could give him a different story. That kicks in the fear for his reputation. He can't look like a fool, which makes him escalate everything. And finally, you get these vicious doubt loops, where every new clue just reinforces the suspicion until that uncertainty hardens into a fatal, unshakable fact.
Now, if you only take one single thing away from this whole breakdown, let it be this next metaphor. It captures the entire dynamic perfectly. Just think about that for a second. Once Iago plants that first tiny, hairline crack of suspicion, every single thing Desdemona does from that point on is reinterpreted. Her innocent pleas for her friend, her smiles, they're no longer signs of love. To Othello, each one is another heavy step on that glass bridge. He can hear it cracking under the weight of his own doubt. The bridge itself was always strong, but it's the perception of its fragility that brings the whole thing crashing down.
And all this brings us to the most important question, doesn't it? I mean, this is a 400-year-old play, but the system it lays out feels incredibly, uncomfortably modern. So why?
Why is this exact playbook of narrative warfare still so effective today? You see it in politics, you see it in the media, you even see it in personal relationships. How has it lasted this long?
Well, the answer isn't really about good versus evil. It's more structural. It's about how we're built. For one, our brains are hardwired to hate ambiguity. We crave certainty, and a simple, even if it's totally false, story feels better than confusion. Second, social narratives, stereotypes about race or gender, they supply us with these ready-made interpretations that are just easy to grab onto. And finally, in a world where your reputation is everything, the fear of being seen as a fool is a massive motivator. Othello would rather be seen as a murderer than as a man who's been cheated on because one is an act of power and the other of humiliation.
So in the end, Othello is this timeless, powerful warning. It shows us that what we believe isn't always a product of pure, rational thought. So often it's shaped by social pressure, by the stories we're fed, and by those deep, private fears we have about ourselves. The real tragedy here isn't just what happens on stage, it's the chilling reminder of just how fragile our own perception of reality can be.
This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind Crisis in Perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon.
For a longer audio-based analysis of this topic, see the deep dive linked in the description. If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.